I don't think this is a Belichick thing. This is the way they do in the NFL. I've had guys like that before, too. Yes, not a Belichick.
And finally, after one game back, the Packers have placed Aaron Rodgers on IR. With the loss to the Panthers Sunday, Green Bay was eliminated from playoff contention, so there's really nothing left to do but continue to recover from his broken collarbone. So, Cece, a lot of people criticize the decision to bring Rodgers back in the first place. Was it all worth the risk, in your opinion?
Yeah, the people criticize, and they don't know anything about football. They don't know what football players do. Like when you get the chance to come back, and if you can make the playoffs, and it's something that's not going to be lingering, the reason why they took the aggressive approach with the surgery, that's why they had the screws and the plates put in there. So he could come back early to speed up the recovery. It's not like a normal person. So the people who are criticizing, they're just normal people who have a normal job. We don't have normal jobs, so we don't have the normal recovery time. Aaron Rodgers got them in game-tying field goal position. They fumbled the ball away. All right. If they complete that drive, win in overtime, are we sitting here having this conversation?
And he's playing next
week. And he's not placed on IR.
This is crazy to criticize this decision. Let me bring up a different injury. If you tear your meniscus, there's typically, you see this in the NBA a lot, there's two paths to recovery. There's the surgical path, which is better for your long-term knee health, but it knocks you out for the year. There is the just let it heal path, which can cause more problems later in your career, but you can get back on the court faster. Something like that, you would never choose the latter over the former with a young franchise guy or a middle of his prime franchise guy like Rodgers. You would never sacrifice the long-term health of his career for the here and now. But that's not what they did here. That Aaron Rodgers' collarbone was healthy enough, if such a term exists, to play.
Yes.
He played.
When they do the CT scan, the bone has to be 80% healed. The bone's 80% healed, they clear you to play. That's what the doctor did last week for him.
And the worst thing to have with broken collarbone is you break it again. It is not a torn ligament. It is not
a lingering injury.
Right. It's not having RG3 play in the playoff game his rookie year with a knee that was hanging by a thread. It's none of that. And Rodgers, by the way, you saw parts of the game where it looked like, oh, this is the Aaron Rodgers I'm used to, and parts of the game where it looked like, oh, he hadn't played football in a couple of months. But, of course, you bring him back. I do think it is smart of them, now that they're eliminated from the playoffs, to say, okay, yeah, sure, we'd rather go 9-7 than 7-9, but let's just leave this as it is. Let's take the season where we're at and put him on IR. But no, they made the right decision in bringing him back.
And you're right. If they won last week, we're not even having this conversation right now.
Yeah, he's awful sore this week against Minnesota, though.
Oh, yeah. Tough back-to-back defenses for him.
The Patriots. I call them the luckiest team, the most prepared team, the best coach team. Call them anything you want. But they seem to find a way to come out on top of games where they're scraping the bottom. All drama from the Pittsburgh game aside, New England is now 11-3 and sitting squarely in the driver's seat of the AFC. Cece, what can opponents do to have a chance against the Patriots in the playoffs? How do you defend against this team?
Well, the first thing you have to do is take care of the football. We can get into a lot of cliches when you ask a question like that because it's a lot of the basics in football. People think it's really special. You have to come up with this great play design. No, you don't. You have to take care of the football. If you look at what changed this game around, it wasn't they didn't know what to do. They didn't spike it. They should have called a timeout. No, it was turnovers. Even if Ben has an incomplete pass on the last pass that was intercepted, this game goes to overtime. So you cannot, especially with this team that doesn't have the talent margin on other teams that they've had before the Patriots. So you can't give Tom Brady extra possessions. That's where they thrive. Red zone. You have to score touchdowns against New England. Number 3. You got to double Gronk and make someone else a football player. Brandon Cooks, I'm not afraid of him at all. Hogan, I'm not afraid of him at all. Brandon Cooks, he ain't getting no yards after the catch. Hogan's not getting no yards after the catch. The only ones get yards after the catch are Gronk and the running back. So I'm going to take Gronk. I'm going to do just what Belichick does. I'm going to take away the number one weapon. I'm going to double Gronk almost the whole game and force someone else to beat me. That's the way you defeat the New England Patriots.
Right, and that's because they don't have Edelman. it's going to be very difficult for them to take advantage of that. Like, that had been tougher in the past when Gronk and Edelman were there. But
well, they've both been hurt, so we haven't seen those two together in 3 years.
2 years, right? The year before
3
last.
seasons.
And so here's the thing. I'm gonna add one thing to what Cece said, because I think for most of the part it's spot on. One additional point: if you have the opportunity to keep Tom Brady off the field at the end of the football game, you cannot run your traditional 4-minute offense. The Steelers in that game, for instance, had 1 3-and-out. It was their final drive of the game. Oh, I'm sorry, their second to last drive of the game before the one where they ended up throwing a pick. They started off with a run. They then did 2 short passes. They're punting away to New England. Even in that spot, on the 4th and short, you have to at least consider, do we have a better chance of picking up this first down or stopping Tom Brady on the other side of the ball?
Right.
You cannot. Go ahead, Susan.
Right. I don't like the theory of making up my mind. I know New England does that, and it works for them. But the game has an ebb and flow to it that you have to watch the flow of the game and the momentum. It's nice in theory. Now, for me, what I would do is I would go back to a game plan that I had in the first half. Because even if we get to that spot, if they went 3-and-out, we punt to New England, do something different defensively. It's hard to do and to have the philosophy, if it's 4th down, we're going to change our whole philosophy from the season and implement that into a game. That's hard for a team to do. What's easier to do is New England's got the ball. Let's change up the coverage. You played 65% man. They're going to be ready for man. Maybe let's double Gronk. Let's play some zone at the end.
I don't disagree that they could have done better things at the end of the game defensively. What I do disagree on is this: no matter your philosophy for the season, no matter your philosophy for the game, no matter how the game is going, it's like, oh, we've held Brady down. They're in. The
so what could Pittsburgh have done different besides the 3-and-out? Because Todd Haley, he called 3 good plays. Like, he was expecting them to get a first down. Tell me what they could have done different.
Well, I'm going to tell you, first of all, I would have at least, and they didn't seem to even consider it, and this would apply moving forward as well, I would consider keeping my offense on the field in 4th down. I understand if you don't.
At what point? But there was no point in that game.
Yes, I'm talking about the second to last drive. 4th and 1, up 5 on your 38-yard line. Absolutely. My question would be, do I have a better chance of getting this first down with my offense, with Ben Roethlisberger, with Le'Veon Bell, than I do of stopping one of the best quarterbacks ever?
If Mike Tomlin is backed up, 4th down in the game, and goes for it on 4th down, Pittsburgh might fire him on Monday.
Now, Cece, we've seen.
And misses.
Hold on.
Who have we seen do this?
Belichick against Peyton Manning.
Yeah, but he's got 5 Super Bowls. Who else have we seen do this? Who's got the guts to do this?
Okay, well, just real quick here for a second. Again, in that situation as well, you're not up 2. A field goal doesn't beat you. You're up a touchdown. And we can go macro instead of micro. The point that I'm making is typically late in games, you're just like, hey, take as much time off the clock as you can, make them use their timeouts. Against Tom Brady and the Patriots, I am most focused on keeping them off the field.
Right. This is nothing against people who don't play football or sports, but people like yourself, you love to take chances like that. And me as a player, I'm not risking my season doing something that's totally unconventional, because you know what the defense does? They're like, why didn't we punt, as they run on the field, as they have to try to defend a short field. Like, you play the game as a team. That's how you win, and that's also how you lose. And there's certain principles to the game that people who have never played the game, they just think all of a sudden, oh, we're backed up, we're going to go for it on 4th down. That's a huge chance to take when we don't have anything to risk. It's a lot easier to say than to accomplish, for a coach to say it and for the team to be able to have that plan played out and be successful at it.
All right, we spent 10 minutes trying to figure out how to stop the Patriots. That's why no one seems to be able to do it. Coming up, is it time for the NFL to change the catch rule? When Eric Mangini